That is Super Trooper, the karaoke version originally performed by ABBA. This comes off Karaoke Diamonds instrumentals. First and foremost, it is difficult to find free music, copyright-free music that won't become a violation of YouTube's rules as far as the free usage of this music in the production of a monetized video clip. But it's also difficult to find copyright-free ABBA-like music and people that would recognize ABBA. A Swedish, I typed in famous Swedish group. I knew they were from up there, but I did not know that ABBA was Swedish. Go figure. And why am I talking about ABBA? Because I'm a nerd. I started, as I've stated on yesterday's shorts, I am going to be discussing the math. I will say it again. The math ain't mathing, y'all. And the more I learn about the lack of the Swedish response to COVID, the pissed off I get. And this fool, Anders Tegnell, he'll leave his position as international uproar over his role as an epidemiologist in his government's lack of response to take even a senior expert in a group with the World Health Organization. Not only is Swedish people going to be misled by this fool is going to the World Health Organization. How do you become an absolute supervillain and then get an even bigger job with WHO and UNICEF? Are y'all being for real? Are y'all punking me? Because I don't know. I have not seen anything this crazy since I left the military, when they promote you just to get rid of your ass. So is this a way for them to get rid of his ass and then they can drag him once he gets to the World Health Organization and we won't learn from him anymore? Because how many people are going to not trust the World Health Organization when he goes over there spouting some of this same BS? Or did they hire him because they knew they could get him for a song and he would give them the information that they wanted to basically say how we cannot distribute vaccines and other technology and other treatments equitably? Because he's just going to look at it like a math equation and take out the humanity of it and just give them what they want to hear. He's a type of supervillain that will be able to do that. Because, again, the math ain't mathing. I don't understand how he got that position. Are they so hard up for people at the World Health Organization that they'll hire Hannibal Lecter? That is just the craziest thing I ever heard. Sweeten anyways. This is from comments taken directly from the writer from the LA Times, Michael Hiltzik, a business columnist at that same paper. I admit freely that I subscribe to maybe about 6 or 7 different papers, and this one captivated me because I've been talking about COVID shenanigans from a lot of different angles, but this is some governmental extra level craziness. Evidently, the optics dictated that Swedish residents were able to enjoy themselves at bars and residences. Their schools remain open, and somehow their economy thrived, and they remain healthy. So say the most ardent fans. These same, the people that mostly touted this are the anti-vaxxers and the Republican crazies. And it seems like anybody on the right or completely to the left of what makes sense was touting their success from a business standpoint, because it seems like their business person was the one that supported the anti-lockdown. And that's Anders Tegnell. He's called the architect of Sweden's failed anti-COVID strategy. What am I talking about? A report in Nature says that the Swedish response to the pandemic was unique, characterized by morally, ethically, and scientifically questionable laissez-faire approach. It included treatments being withheld from elderly patients, including vaccinations. And if you had a comorbid like obesity, you were not going to get an ICU bed. You were going to get morphine instead of oxygen. Definitely not remdesivir. Definitely not the COVID pill. And you were not afforded the same vaccination or same access to vaccination as the rest of their population. It seems like they did a cost-benefit analysis, and what it cost them, I think, was completely outweighed what they gained. Sure, their economy not only thrived but expanded, but at what expense? Now nobody trusts their asses. They had the highest approval rating as far as governmental trust, and maybe that is what allowed them to basically operate with no impunity, because everybody trusted they were doing the right thing, that the people were taken care of, that their approach was somehow completely different than the rest of the world in their insular world. But what they did is they basically allowed people to die and withheld treatment when the data showed them differently. And then they skewed and withheld the data to their own benefit. When I say the math ain't math, and I basically say that they had the data, but they used the data in such a maladaptive way that it was to the detriment of the Swedish people. And for lawmakers and conservative and anti-vaxxer, anti-maskers that point to the Swedish, you better be very careful. Because again, the math ain't mathing. How can you have no lockdowns, not change your ways, and the only thing that's really saved is your business? The only thing that's saved that's the only thing that's saved. So you put profits above people, and that's not fair. And that is why you're going to go down as the grossest failure of government, of big government at that, on such a impactful way that you're going to make people be ashamed of their being in that country. Y'all pay all these taxes and high prices. Amsterdam is like Stockholm, because Amsterdam is not Sweden. Stockholm, one of the most expensive cities to live in the world, but the cost that people pay to be able to live there is basically outweighs any of the benefits. There is no benefit when they use the taxes in their tax base and they basically put a price on who to save and who not to save. And I think that is in itself is appalling. If you're going to use data, make sure there's no inherent bias in the data, and then don't use the data, withhold the data, and skew the data for your own benefit for nefarious ends. This is a scammer getting scammed that scammed the whole Swedish population as well as the world, to think that these policies that only save big business and was only benefit to big business, and the lies that they told, and all the death that they could have prevented, all the infection they could have prevented. You can't get, and let's just go back to the science. You can't get herd immunity if nobody is alive to provide defense against the disease. For example, the way that you first start with herd immunity is making sure, in a safe way, that you vaccinate the population. A wide part of the population have to be vaccinated. We know, the rest of the world knows, that natural COVID does not provide you adequate protection from any of the variants or from subsequent reinfection. The only way that you can prevent that is, again, by getting safely vaccinated. We got too many very safe, potent vaccines that will absolutely assist you in reaching herd immunity. So with that said, they need to vaccinate, the larger part of their population need to be vaccinated and not have COVID parties, because natural COVID does not provide the levels of herd immunity that you are trying to get to. We've been saying that since the outbreak of the pandemic. You can't control the disease without having some types of changes, meaning decreasing your ventilation, decreasing population gatherings, hand washing and masks. Those are some very simple things, and disinfecting. Those are some very simple things. And you can't keep running around like it doesn't matter when it really does matter. Y'all could have saved almost 2,000 lives based just doing those simple things. But you chose not to. You put business and profits above lives, and now you're going to pay for it by becoming the laughingstock of the scientific community as well as other government agencies. And now the backlash is the people are like, just like a lot of Americans are here. Some of Americans, or myself, are very kind of give our government the side eye, and we can't depend on the government to protect and support us because there's too many other outside forces. That's where I think the Swedish people are. They now are going to be, I don't know if they're going to be as mistrustful as we are, but they're not going to think that all of the taxes that they're paying, when really the government don't really give a shit about you. They were just about protecting the economy at y'all's expense. Good luck with reconciling that. And do what you need to. If you're going to not really do and pay the protections for me, then you got to ask yourself, why am I paying all these taxes? And why all these, and it did nothing for prices. Prices are just as high as they've always been. Why am I giving and donating and putting my money into a government that don't really give a crap about me? Y'all going to have to reconcile that too, and see how, is it better to know that your government ain't shit, but know that you would not want to live any other place in the world, and what do you have to do to change those things? And also make sure the government responds appropriately to being put on blast for being stupid. And again, when you put profits above people, you get this debacle in Swedish. And that's all I got to say about that. And I hope you enjoyed my take on the abysmal response to Sweden and the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe at the end of this video. And again, I thank you guys for listening. Hit me up with some comments, because I hope this represents what the title basically says. Math ain't math in Sweden. Y'all need to be ashamed of yourself, and how all of you guys are going to, and the Swedish citizens are going to reconcile themselves to a governmental stupidity.